Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. So I figured this episode, after the opening day, I kind of did a quick rant. Again, if you were on the podcast, you would have heard it. But we kind of elaborated a little bit, not the only opening day, but it's kind of the opening series against the Boston Red Sox, because there were a lot of good things. Didn't get a sweep. It would be nice to get a sweep, but I'm always happy with opening day. If you could get away with 2 out of 3, I'll take it as a win. But there's a lot of positive things from this Yankee team, even in the Sunday night loss, which we'll get into. So we'll kind of break down all the games, get into that, and of course do a little deeper dive in the Aaron Judge contract offer. Again, I also mentioned on the podcast that, again, before the opening day game, Brian Cashman did hold a press conference, which they announced that they weren't able to, get an extension for Aaron Judge. So it looks like Aaron Judge is going to hit the free agency market after the 2022 season, which we kind of figured he was going to do anyway, maybe. But the Yankees did make him somewhat of a fair offer, and I'll kind of go into it a little bit. Kind of just give you both takes, give you the the Yankees side of it and the Aaron Judge side of it. Do I think it was a fair contract offer? Yeah, I'll just give you a little heads up spoiler of that, but we'll kind of just break down to it and then probably why, Judge ultimately decided to decline on it. Again, because, it's going to be his one opportunity to make a big killing, so wouldn't make sense for him to sign here, but, the Yankees made him a fair offer, but again, we'll get into all that. So let's get into the game itself. So, the 3 games, so it's opening day. Now, originally, it was supposed to be on Thursday, but of course, we had some bad weather in New York, so they kicked it back to one more day Friday, and it was a beautiful day. Good thing they did do that. Now, funny enough is that Billy Crystal is going to throw out the opening pitch. Again, Garrett Cole is going to be the starter for that game, and apparently with the pregame festivities and stuff like that, I guess Billy Crystal took a little too long and threw out the pitch, and Garrett Cole is getting a little bit chirpy, because these starting pitchers, they're all regimented. He probably had his warm-ups, he has his routines, and after the national anthem, he has to come out at a certain time. So he was delayed, and kind of the results showed in that first inning. He did get touched up a little bit wild. Rafael Devers took him deep for a 2-run home run. Ultimately ended up leaving the frame in a hole 3-0. And again, after the game, he was a little fumed. Again, Billy Crystal, I guess, whatever. The biggest Yankee fan of all, kind of, messed the team up a little bit to start the season, but not his fault. And the team would, respond eventually, getting on the board with Anthony Rizzo, a 2-run home run, got the Yankees back within the 3-2. And of course, later on in the game, big important home run from DJ LeMahieu. Again, I said going into the season that I think he was going to be probably the biggest factor of this team really bouncing back, and he had a miserable 2021. So it's just good, in the spring, there's a lot of good reports that he was just driving the ball to right field, again, stuff you didn't see him doing last season. So looks like he's getting healthy, and of course he goes deep in that game as well. Just a very good sign. And, not to say I told you so, but again, I was very big on the Yankees bringing back Anthony Rizzo, and he paid off again in game 1, and he'll pay off again in game 2 with another 2-run home run. Just a lot of good leadership, and just to have a whole season of him in there in that lineup is going to be a very positive team, not only defensively but offensively. Again, left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium doesn't take a rocket scientist, and of course the first 2 games he does go deep in the stadium. So the Yankees do end up having to go into extra innings to get the win, and it was a good gritty win for the team. Just because they did fall behind in extra innings, and it was just good for them to sort of not say they always mail it in, but just they really fought for that win. Chapman looked good. The entire bullpen really in general looked good. Really just picking up from last year. And we kind of knew going into the season the bullpen wasn't going to be an issue. It was going to be, the starting rotation was going to be an issue more than anything. And the bullpen has been fabulous so far, and they were in game 1. And then, of course, the winning run ends up being kind of Falefa, IKF as they call him on the streets. He was the ghost runner in the 11th inning on second base, and another new Yankee, Josh Donaldson, singles him in, nice single up the middle. IKF is able to score, and the Yankees have a nice walk-off win, 6-5 win, thrilling win for opening day against the rival Boston Red Sox. So you really couldn't ask for anything else. I mean, the Yankees gave you everything in that game, and it was just a good, exciting win. And the game almost took 4 hours. So your typical Yankees Red Sox, even though they have all these things to speed the game up a little bit, it's still, of course, Yankees Red Sox takes forever, but well worth the wait. 4 hours and a walk-off win. And again, even though Cole got touched up a little bit in that first inning, he was pretty much good after that. And then that kind of brings us into game 2, which, again, another question mark for the Yankees going to be this season was going to be Luis Severino. Obviously, if the team's going to go anywhere, Cole's going to be Cole, but you need Severino to be equal to Severino we know from the 2018, 2019, before he started having all these injuries. His first game at back end, it's only 1 game, but he delivered well. Went 3 innings, did give up a 2-run home run, but was pretty good. In fact, in the second inning, he gave up like a bloop single to Trevor Story. It was a ball that Joey Gallo probably should have caught him. It wasn't a routine play; it was a diving catch, but the ball kind of went past his glove. So again, maybe a little early season, a little rust for Gallo, even though he's a Gold Glover. But even though it was a run on second base, Severino K'd the next 3 guys, got out of the inning, kind of looked like that old Severino. So very good sign for the Yankees. And as a game, the Yankees eventually going to win 4-2. Again, another 2-run home run by Anthony Rizzo. And of course, I got to mention, mention also in game 1, Giancarlo Stanton, who just loves hitting home runs against the Boston Red Sox. He just has a thing for that. Hit one in game 1 as well as in game 2 as well. And then the Yankees have a kind of, a meek, kind of ho-hum, kind of 4-2 win. But take those first 2 games, and game closed out by Aroldis Chapman. So again, Chapman off to a pretty good start, already with 1 save. Again, 2 appearances, looked fine. And that was kind of the situation last season. Aroldis Chapman got off to a great start, and just for whatever reason, around June, just kind of hit a wall, and it really took him a while to find himself again. So we'll see if that happens again with Chapman. But so far, looks like he's on a good roll. And also it's worth mentioning with Rizzo, just a clubhouse leader, again, a former, World Series champion with the Cubs. And there was a situation in the first game, again, one of the newest Yankees, Rob Marinaccio, again, a hometown guy from Toms River, New Jersey, was on the mound, struggling a little bit, threw 5 pitches out of the zone. And Rizzo kind of came over to him and said, hey, look, your stuff is good enough to be in the majors, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Give him a little pep talk. And then, of course, Marinaccio was able to get out of the jam. So, again, just little things like that where I think this Rizzo was really just a good addition to his team, and again, a good move by Cashman. So the Yankees take the first 2 games. Now, game 3 had Montgomery on the mound. It's not someone you have any question marks about. It's just can you just give us innings and keep the score close? That's kind of what you expect out of a 4th or 5th starter, which he kind of is. And unfortunately, early on in the game, he did take a comebacker up the middle, 100-mile-per-hour fastball off the knee, but he was able to stay in the game. Got touched up a little bit for 3 runs, and again, as a game, the Yankees ultimately lost 4-3, and they were behind the whole time, and they had a couple of rallies, late, put a few runs on, but could never really get the big hit. And really all weekend, I mean, Judge came up in a big spot, and he got a walk, but great, but really didn't do much with the bat the opening day weekend. So, and you did hear little chimings of boos starting to come up a little bit in discourse, but I guess with the contract talk, and then of course not really having a great opening weekend, so you can kind of understand that a little bit. But again, the Yankees unfortunately couldn't come away with the sweep. And you also got to give some credit to the Red Sox left fielder Alex Verdugo. I mean, all weekend, amazing diving plays and some amazing plays out in left field. And a couple times the Yankees tried to have some rallies going Sunday night, but Verdugo came with some big catches against a big one against Josh Donaldson. So, he really, for the Red Sox, I mean, Verdugo was just amazing in the outfield, with the glove. And unfortunately, the Yankees couldn't come up with the way to sweep. But you kind of would like, again, you'll take it. You'll take 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. Against the Red Sox, the team that kind of knocked the Yankees out last season in that 1-game playoff or do or die game. And of course, the opening game, they threw Eovaldi out there, who's kind of shut the Yankees down lately, and tough to figure out. But good to see Rizzo and Giancarlo touch him up for a couple home runs. So good to smack around Eovaldi a little bit, just get a little revenge there. And again, a good opening day weekend for the New York Yankees. And this, even in the game they lost, at least they scored some runs. It wasn't like, remember the Yankees last season, just with the lineup, it was just very right-handed, not enough lefters in there, very, very lame, and just pretty much, throwing up a lot of zeros on the board, not scoring much runs, not putting across much. It's just good to see the Yankees in all the games. Now, I mean, yeah, they hit their home runs, but they did a lot of things as well. Just little hits here and there, a little clutch hitting, some good defense here and there as well. So it's just good, solid games. Not blowing a team out, but also not getting shut out themselves. So if this Yankee team could play like that, maybe score 4 or 5 runs, the pitching staff is good enough to shut down the other team. And if that was just a litmus test of what this team's going to be for the rest of 2022, you're going to like that. And again, they're probably going to win way more games than they'll lose if that's going to be the case. And again, if everyone can stay healthy. So before the game, as I mentioned, game 1, they did have the contract with Aaron Judge. So I'm going to break that down a little bit, kind of get into both sides of the situation, of Aaron Judge's point of view, the Yankees' point of view, and whether or not I thought it would be a fair offer for possibly what we think the future Yankee captain, should he take that offer or not. And a quick side note, remember to subscribe to Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Go there, type in Section 420 Talkin Yankees. You'll see it and be available. More content throughout the season, again, beyond what you see on YouTube or if you're watching on television somewhere. So you get more rants during the week, more opinions, more news, more updates. maybe the F word once and twice, but we'll see what happens. But again, make sure you subscribe to that. I'm just going to repeat until you do it. So again, Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Now back to the Bronx Bombers. Aaron Judge situation. So again, Brian Cashman had the news conference before the opening day saying that they weren't able to come to agreement with the Judge camp. And kind of interesting, in a way. So typically, again, well, most situations, usually, you don't have this sort of announcement where you get into the details and the numbers. And apparently, Aaron Judge wasn't happy that Cashman disclosed the details of the Yankees offer. But what it was going to be, well, even back before that. So technically, right now, Judge is in arbitration, which usually you handle in spring training. But of course, this year was a little tricky with the lockout, and spring training got off to a late start, and it was a condensed version. So it wasn't usually a timetable we have for an arbitration. So this is the final year of Judge's contract. So basically an arbitrator has to look at his numbers and see what he's worth market value wise. So what this, and it's still being negotiated with it. So, it's funny, he's playing the season, but he really doesn't know how much he's going to make the season. It's kind of interesting enough. So now this Yankee contract was going to include a $17 million sort of arbitration for this year. Now Judge, supposedly the camp is looking for $21 million, so they were kind of for that. But the way his contract was structured, it was going to give him $17 million for 2022 to clear out that final year of arbitration. And then this new deal that the Yankees are offering would have kicked in at 2023. Now, it was valued at $213.5, I don't know why 0.5, could have rounded up to 14, whatever, $0.5 million per year for 7 years. So that would have been from 2023, kick on to 7 years, and it would have paid Judge $30.5 million per season. Now, I guess for me and you, that's a chunk of money to take that any day, but unfortunately, Aaron Judge and his camp did turn it down. Now, there's kind of conflicting stories of perhaps maybe he wanted a longer-term deal, but now it's seeming that the latest word is that wasn't really the length of the contract, but it was how much per year he was going to get paid. Again, he was going to get $30.5 million. Supposedly, he wants sort of like Mike Trout slash, Carlos Correa type money of $35 million a year. So it seems like maybe the Yankees were $5 million below of what he was expecting. So it's kind of a weird situation. So I think it was a brilliant move by Cashman just to put it out there because they took a lot of heat during the offseason. A lot of people felt the Yankees were being cheapies, and they didn't go after Correa, and they didn't really spend much money. They didn't, go after any of these major free agents. We saw, Trevor Story go up to Boston, not that they actually needed him, but I think fans will get a little antsy with Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman. So I think it was a good move just to put it out to say, hey, look, we like Judge, we want him back, we made him. I think a relatively fair offer, and not a terrible offer, and I think it puts a message out there and kind of puts Judge in the corner a little bit because it's like, hey, look, you said you wanted to come back, we wanted to bring you back, you turned down the offer. So I think it was a smart move play by Cashman, kind of puts Judge on his heels a little bit. And again, he wasn't happy that the Yankees put it out there that they made this offer, what the details are, and especially with this what's going on right now, just with inflation and still the little tail end of COVID, even though pretty much it's over, but still lingering around a little bit. And of course you have the whole Russian-Ukrainian thing. So much going on right now, bad, that someone turning down $30.5 million a year kind of looks like the bad guy a little bit in this one. And that's, I don't blame Judge for doing it. This is business as well, but I think it was a smart move by Cashman just to kind of put that on him like that. So what it turns out, it looks like Judge wants one of these mega deals where, again, he's going to get $35 million per year. And this, in terms of this, the total value of the contract, something like you saw like Bryce Harper getting, so when Mookie Betts got like $365 million. So when you kind of look at that, and kind of like the $400 million Mike Trout got, he's getting like $35 million a year. 213 almost looks like a little minuscule. So I can understand his point of view that way, but I think it was a kind of a fair offer by the Yankees. I mean, it would have made him the highest paid position player since A-Rod. A-Rod, I believe, was the highest at $27.5. Now, again, that was like 6 years ago, and of course with rising prices and inflation, that and 275 gets you a sub right doesn't really mean that much. But the Yankees did try to stress that point that he would have been the highest paid per year position player. But again, for Aaron Judge, okay, what does that do for him? Now, for Judge wanting $35 million per year, like that type of money, as much as I like him, he's a great Yankee, he's all for that. I mean, if you look, other than his, Rookie of the Year season, we hit like 50, almost like hit like 51 home runs. From there, I mean, he hasn't really had much, greatness consistency after that. I mean, he lost chunks of time in 2018 and 2019. Of course, we all know that 2020 was a shortened season with COVID, and even with that, he missed a little time. Now, last season, okay, he played most of the season, and he was probably consistently the Yankees' best player. So I'll give him his hats off for that. But there was a stretch there from 2018 through 2020. I mean, that's like 3 seasons where, good player, but did miss a chunk of time. So you can see the Yankees being a little hesitant to even want to offer him a 7-year deal in the first place, but they did. And 7 years for a guy who's going to be 30 years old relatively soon, that's pretty fair. I could see like if let's just say they were not willing to go more than 5 years, you say, all right, come on, 35 is still in your prime somewhat, but they will offer him 7 years where he would have played into that contract being 37, 38 years old, which again we all know, we've all seen this movie before. Players start breaking down, and especially with him, he's a big guy, he's a muscular guy, and you get to see a lot of lats pulled and chest pulls and things like that nature. And again, plus he's playing the outfield and diving for balls and stuff like that. We've seen him have had issues in the past with the collarbone and all that. So the Yankees are taking a risk. So I think overall, I think the Yankees played it right. They gave him a fair offer. I can't really condemn the Yankees on that. I mean, again, could you offer them 35? Possibly. I mean, what's $5 million more for the New York Yankees? But I just don't think, as very good, great Aaron Judge is, I just don't think I put him up there on the level of a Bryce Harper type or a Mike Trout type, or even like Mookie Betts. People might say sacrilege because he's a Red Sox, but just look at the resume of Mookie Betts. Look at the resume of a Mike Trout, and Judge is good. He has a couple of Silver Sluggers. He got a rookie year in 2017. A couple of All-Star appearances, but those players are like MVP type caliber players. Now Judge is close to that, but since 2017, we really haven't seen MVP type play from him. So, for the Yankees to make that offer, I think it was very fair, and I just don't think, I would value him at a $35 million type of year player. So the Yankees played it right. So now Judge does want to negotiate during the season, which I understand that. So he's going to hit the free agency market after the 2022 season, and he said, look, I'm going to take offers from everybody, and I guess the Yankees will be one of the 30 teams. So I guess, and for him, I guess it's kind of what he has to do, because, for him to accept that deal, he could have if he really wanted to, but he's probably going to get more money, either whether it's from the Yankees or another team, by hitting the free agency market just to see what else is out there, because someone else will probably want to throw him some money. I don't think he'll get like a longer-term deal in 7 years. But again, some team like Texas who just don't care, need to bring in some stars and get some fans in the stands, willing to throw him an offer. So we'll see how it goes. And for the Yankees this season, I don't think Judge will be a distraction for Judge. I just he's a professional, and again, there's every motivation for him to have a great season. So hopefully he can just stay healthy and put up some good numbers. And if those good numbers get the Yankees into the playoffs and they do some great in the playoffs, great. And at the same time, if it gets Judge a good contract from the Yankees, even greater. Now, the Yankees do have a backup plan. Of course, it's Giancarlo Stanton, and that's kind of the issue with Judge, where they're not really forced to have to bring him back in a way. I think they're going to try their best. But, Judge and Stanton, very similar type players. And the almost two of the same players. So let's say you do happen to lose Judge, which hopefully you don't. You kind of have the same player ready in Stanton, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And, of course, you can use that money that you were going to spend on Judge in some other areas. So, again, it is a win-win for the Yankees as well. And we know Brian Cashman can be ice cold. That's the way he played it with Jeter, especially on the final contract with Jeter. He made Jeter an offer. Jeter seemed to like it. Even, again, the Yankees made the numbers public. Same thing they did with Aaron Judge. And I guess Jeter might have kicked some ties around. I don't think Jeter would have ever left. But ultimately, Jeter did accept the deal. And probably more or less what's going to happen with Aaron Judge. I think the Yankees will probably make a similar offer, more or less. Maybe they go up to 35, or maybe settle at 33, and they settle in the middle, and that okays it. So ultimately, I still see they're going to try their best to retain Judge. Again, he is, quote unquote, even though it's not on his chest yet, he is the Yankee captain. More than half the people are wearing number 99 in the stands. So it would just, it wouldn't be a good move by the Yankees to not try their best to bring him. And I think they would. But again, if he does decide to walk, at least from the Yankees standpoint, Brian Cashman's standpoint, it's not the worst thing in the world, because you still have Giancarlo Stanton, who's again signed through the 2027 season, where he himself will be about 37 years old, and there is an option for 2028. But again, if you just need a big lumbering guy to hit 35 home runs, well, the Yankees kind of have that covered. Now it's good to have two of those guys, but even if some happens with Judge walks, again, it's not the most terrible thing in the world, at least from the Yankee front office perspective. The fans will be crushed, so I just think that's why they're going to try his best to retain him. And a Judge, again, the offer was there. I think it was a fair offer. He could have taken it and just put this thing to bed. It's like, all right, great, I'll be a Yankee for the rest of my career, and getting a pretty fair contract. But I can understand his point of view as well. you're a young guy, and for his first several years with the Yankees, he was underpaid, but that's just the way a rookie contract works. That's just the way that things are. So this is one shot in life to make a big killing, and so I can't blame him for just wanting to get the most possible. I just don't think he's worth a Bryce Harper or Mike Trout type of contract. As great as Judge is, those players are just on a different type of level than Judge. And again, Judge has missed a lot of time since from 2018 till now. Only last season was kind of his first full healthy year since 2017. So you look at a number of seasons where he wasn't able to stay healthy. So the Yankees they almost did him a favor by offering the 7 years like that instead of trying to offer him 5 and front loading the contract. I meant they were willing to commit to him for 7 years. So fair offer by the Yankees, and I think it was a good move to put the numbers public just to kind of back Judge in the corner a little bit, because again, $30 million per year is nothing to scoff at. That is, it's more than fair. And now Judge is going to say, all right, well, I'm going to try to get a bigger deal. So I really can't blame anyone in this deal. And it just is unfortunate to fans. Now we're going to have to just wait a whole nother season. And of course, it's going to get interesting now if more teams can jump into the fray, because he's going to get an offer from 2 or 3 other teams. I don't know how serious it's going to be, but just for the sake of numbers, someone's going to bring him in because, again, former Yankees, a big guy, he's like 6'7", he hits a lot of home runs, so it's going to be attractive for a lot of teams. So the Yankees are going to have to compete with that. But again, if he does end up going somewhere else, at least in the Cashman's mind, he says, all right, well, too bad. I have Giancarlo Stanton who can play right field, no problem, and so for the Yankees it would be no major loss. So. We'll see how it turns out. But again, Aaron Judge, unfortunately, we could guarantee him there for 2022. But beyond 2022, we're just not sure. Now, in those first 3 games against the Red Sox, you might have noticed that the Yankees were using the new pitch comp technology. Higgy had it on his left leg. And basically, baseball wants to introduce this as a means to prevent sign stealing. So instead of the old way of throwing down signals, which now there's been a problem with baseball going a couple of years. I mean, we've had a number of scandals. Of course, we all know about the Houston Astros and supposedly their sign stealing scandal and banging the garbage cans. We know about the Red Sox and the whole smartwatch thing. And then, of course, there's always been the rumors about in Toronto in the Rogers Center, that hotel restaurant they have in center field, possibly, Girardi always felt that there was someone back there with binoculars looking to steal signs. So could be going on in a number of ballparks, and supposedly even the Yankees are on the investigation with something. Again, as I mentioned previous episode, there's that sealed document of, again, supposedly against the New York Yankees, that someone made some accusations against them, whether it was something with live video or sign stealing and so on. So, again, it seems to be rampant throughout baseball, and it's a problem for baseball. So I guess the way they want to get rid of it is by introducing this new technology, which, again, so basically it's a little something like a remote control where a pitcher can, instead of throwing down signs, basically could press what pitcher they want, and the pitcher, of course, has a little a microphone or whatever, a speaker near the side of the hat, where they'll hear, ball, fastball, curveball, slider, outside, stuff like that. So, and they'll be able to hear it and throw it. And it's also a way to speed up the game a little bit. As anytime you watch a baseball game, you see the catcher throw on the signs. The pitcher says no, then the pitcher steps off, then they give the signs again. The pitcher says no and steps off. And so this is supposed to kind of quicken up the game a little bit, so you don't have that kind of back and forth a little bit. So it kind of serves 2 purposes: cuts back on the cheating and sign stealing, as well as speeds up the game. Now, it's not mandatory, as you notice that the Red Sox didn't use it. The Yankees did, but the Red Sox didn't, so it's not mandatory. And up to 3 players can use it, so it's kind of interesting. So, of course, you have the pitcher involved, the catcher involved, and possibly 1 more player. So it could be maybe a second baseman or first baseman, whoever the field general is. In that case, probably back in the day would be like Derek Jeter, but if he was still on the team. So up to 3 players can have it, but again, it's not mandatory. And some hits and misses so far. So it seems like Higashioka for the Yankees loves it supposedly, but some of the pitches didn't have a good time with it. As in the opening game, Miguel Castro, who again kind of really mentioned previously, but Yankees made a quick crosstown trade with him, shipping out Joely Rodriguez, the lefty the Yankees got from Texas last year in the Joey Gallo deal, shipping him off to the Mets, and they got Miguel Castro back, a right-handed power pitcher. And Miguel, threw throwing a bunch of pitches, kind of off a little bit. Supposedly he was having issues with it, but did get out of a huge bases-loaded situation. Came back to strike out to get out of a major jam. And then supposedly in the second game, Severino was having some issues with it as well. So still some kinks to work out with the thing, and it's available in both English and in Spanish. So, plenty of Spanish players as well. So it is comparable for both players. And if you see this little device, it looks like a piece of plastic. You might say, well, what if there's a foul tip, a foul hit off the catcher's leg? Well, suppose this thing was like, bulletproof, where even if you hit a foul ball off it, it's not going to break the thing and shut down the whole system. So it's supposed to be very durable. So again, they're just testing out this season, so we'll see how it goes. And just in general, baseball is just trying to button up on a lot of these things, like players having little like notes. Like you remember Gary Sanchez used to lift his arm and have little pitch counts things and little notes on each players and hitters, stuff like that. Baseball really wants to limit this type of stuff, just kind of button it up a little bit, because again, there's been various allegations, whether against the Yankees, against the Red Sox or Astros, there's cheating. So at least this thing now keeps the game a little, again, just keeps things, you don't have to worry about teams stealing sides, and of course speeds it along a little bit, even though that first game between the Red Sox and Yankees took 4 hours. But of course that's also 2 innings of extra innings involved as well. So thanks for joining us in this episode. Again, good start for the Yankees, at least opening day, opening weekend against the Red Sox, and again, a lot of good stuff to take away from that. Again, didn't go long, but relatively good start for Cole. Blame first thing on Billy Crystal. We'll give him blame, but other than that, he was good. Severino answered a big question, got a good first start under his belt. Gave up a 2-run home run, but it was all right. And Montgomery, he took a comeback, got cuffed up a little bit, but again, came through it healthy. So lot to like to see there, as well as the bullpen been pretty strong as we expected it would be. Chapman good. Again, Rizzo, who I think is just going to have a fabulous season with the Yankees. I wanted him back. They brought him back, and at least the opening weekend, tremendous with two 2-run home runs, and just again showing a little leadership, helping Rob Marinaccio get out of that jam. We kind of, young guy coming up, doubting himself. Here comes this veteran, comes over, gives him some good words, gets out of the jam. So you like seeing that. So again, if this is going to be the team we're going to get for the rest of the season, I think they're going to be in very good shape. Again, I predicted them to be the previous episode, be the AL East champs. I just think they're going to take a lot of teams by surprise, and I just think they're due, just because they've had some bad luck over the past couple of seasons with various things, and plus, again, Tampa's starting out hurt out of the gate, and of course, the Red Sox will nicked up as well. Now, Toronto's going to be tough and fierce, but I just think overall, the Yankees have a little edge over them, at least pitching-wise and bullpen-wise, specifically than the Blue Jays. So but we'll see how it all pans out. And of course, Aaron Judge, we'll just see what happens to him next offseason. I think the Yankees gave him a fair offer. Cashman made a smart move by making it public out there of what they gave him. And again, Judge is kind of on his heels a little bit. But again, I can't blame him as well, because he just wants to make his money, because he's a young guy and he's only get one shot at this. So, and if you're interested in more Yankee content, and who isn't these days, especially if you're a real Yankee fan, want to make sure you check out the podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Wherever you get your podcast, go there, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, for exclusive content throughout the week. Check it out. Go right now.